Hi, I'm Drew from CryptoBrewology.com for Mr. Beer. Today I'm brewing a Deluxe All-Malt recipe, the Bewitched Red Ale with Mellow Amber. Deluxe recipes are similar to a standard recipe, but instead of using a booster, they use an unhopped malt extract to create a richer, fuller all-malt experience. Mr. Beer also offers two other all-malt recipes, Premium and Seasonal. The Premium recipe includes 2 cans of specially formulated HME and 2 packets of yeast. Because 2 cans of hopped malt extract are used, Mr. Beer recommends using both packets of yeast. The seasonal recipes come in a single, big can equivalent to about 3 cans of HME and include a specially selected dry brewing yeast. HME stands for hopped malt extract. Different Mr. Beer HMEs are made from various combinations of hops and malts, creating the base characteristics of each beer style. The Bewitched Red Ale is made of 2-row crystal and black malts with Pacific Gem and New Zealand Hallertau hops. UME stands for unhopped malt extract. UMEs are made from a variety of malts to produce distinctly different results in the finished beer. Used in conjunction with HME, they increase ABV and add mouthfeel, body, and flavor to the base characteristics established by the HME. Okay, at this time, everything should be sanitized and ready to go. If not, do that now. If you're all set, let's start brewing. The first thing we'll do is pour some cold water into the keg. Bottled water or charcoal filtered tap water are your best bet. Make sure the water is less than 60 degrees. That cold water will really help cool down the wort when it's time to pour it into the keg. Fill your keg just to the 4-quart mark. Like it says in the brewing instructions, remove the yeast packet from under the lid of the HME, then place that and the UME in hot tap water. This will heat up the extract so it's easier to pour. There's a slight difference between a liquid measure and a dry measure, but for our purposes, this will work just fine. Pour 4 cups, 1 quart of water into a 3-quart pot. If you're brewing a seasonal recipe, I suggest using a larger pot because the amount of HME used will really increase the volume of the wort. Turn on your burner and let the water heat up. While you're waiting for the water to boil, carefully open the cans of HME and UME using your sanitized can opener. When the water has come to a full boil, go ahead and turn off the burner. Stir the HME into the pot, making sure to stir constantly and pour slowly so the extract can fully dissolve. Do the same with the UME. After the HME and UME are fully dissolved, it's time to pour the wort into the fermenter. Wort is what we call the beer at this stage. Use a pot holder to be safe and carefully pour the wort into the fermenter, which already contains 4 quarts of cold water. Now top off the keg to the 8.5 quart mark with more cold water. Stir vigorously to mix it all up. The reason we add more cold water is to bring us up to the full fermenting volume, but also to drop the temperature of the wort before we pitch the yeast. Shoot for somewhere between 65 and 70 for the deluxe or premium recipes. If you brewed a seasonal, check the specific temperature range on the special yeast packet that came with your recipe. Sanitization is key in making a good beer, but pitching temperature is the next most important thing. Mr. Beer sells this brewometer that sticks to the side of your fermenter. The brewometer will let you know when your wort is in the right range for pitching the yeast. If you don't have a brewometer, make sure you use very cold water in the keg and touch the sides to make sure it's cool before pitching the yeast. Put the lid on and wait if you have to. Once the wort is in the right temperature range, you can pitch the yeast. If you're brewing a premium recipe, you'll have 2 cans of HME with 2 yeast packets to use. Use both of those. If you're brewing a seasonal, use the special dry yeast packet that came with that recipe. Yeast is a fungus, the technical term for which is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It thrives by consuming the sugars in the wort. That's fermentation, the byproducts of which are alcohol and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, CO2, also carbonates the beer once it's sealed in the bottles. After you've pitched the yeast, let it sit for 5 minutes, then stir vigorously and put on the lid. When I say vigorously, I mean vigorously. You want to force oxygen into the wort, and that'll help the yeast do its job. So stir vigorously, enough so that you see bubbles form on the surface. Place the keg out of direct sunlight and somewhere the temperature is consistently within 68 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Leave it there for a minimum of 7 days. I recommend 14. That extra time will really help minimize off flavors and allow the beer to clear up and settle out prior to bottling. After your beer's fermented and it's been in the bottle for about a week or two, chill one and give it a try. The Bewitched Red Ale turned out really good. I'm going to have to give some of the other all malt recipes a try. As always, happy brewing!